Talking about Goldman Sachs, it survived the financial market crisis that led to the demise of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, of course. In fact, it flourished. The fifth largest U.S. bank recently posted record second quarter earnings, and its stock is up 89% year to date. So what is Goldman's edge? Well, Charles Ellis is the author of The Partnership, The Making of Goldman Sachs, and founder of the consulting firm Greenwich Associates. He was a consultant to Goldman for 30 years and joins us now with his perspective and outlook. I have the book right here. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Gigi.
All right. So Goldman just posted record earnings. We were talking about it. But more than a decade ago, you started researching this book and somehow knew that Goldman was going to be the strongest and most lasting player on Wall Street. How? This was prescient.
It's the people and the way they're organized. There are a couple of different parts to it. One is the recruiting is unbelievably intensive, deeply organized, persistent, striving always. The second thing is they're looking not for the top quartile, not even the top decile. They're looking top 5% of graduates from really terrific schools. And then they sort them out very carefully. Who is smart enough, who's a natural leader, who plays on teams. That's a great start. And then they sort those out for who will be able to play successfully in the work that we do thereafter.
And this incredible culture of loyalty that you write about.
Yeah, there's a very strong, almost tribal commitment to the firm and to what you can become through the firm. And it is scary in some ways, and it's really exciting to see. And for those who like it, they like it a lot.
Well, some of the things that are scary is the way Goldman is being vilified right now in the public and the press in regards to $11.4 billion being set aside for its employees. How can they justify that in the wake of everything that's going on? Well,
first, I don't think you can justify lots of giant numbers. Now, if you said, you know, there's some athletes, like Tiger Woods, one of my favorite athletes, he's about to be worth $1 billion. How can you justify that? I don't want to get into that kind of thing. She said, how can anybody get paid $50 billion? $50 million. I can't justify that, don't have to. It's a different question. But if you look at what they have done in setting aside, they would say to you right away, yes, but the year's not over. If we have a terrible second half, all of that money gets resorted and rebacked, and it would be way lower.
There's a lot of negative criticism out there. One of the quotes that's being bantied about is from Rolling Stone magazine, that Goldman is a giant squid vampire wrapped around the face of humanity. I mean, it's a little over the top, but how damaging is all of this to Goldman's reputation?
Start with, how can you as a journalist, honest to goodness, justify anybody being able to say that and have it printed and then have it repeated? It's an amazing statement. And then if you read the article, which I did do, because everybody said, hey, you got to read this article.
Sure.
It's really interesting. It doesn't hold together. There's obviously a lot of superficiality, slapshot accusations, and candidly, it's really embarrassing from journalism's point of view. But that's not your question.
I just want to know what kind of damage this does to Goldman's reputation. Yes, we repeated it, but it's been everywhere, and I think it's, you know, very interesting to know if this is really going to affect them at all.
Let's take it sort of piece by piece. Will it affect the interior core of their business? No. Will it cause them stress, tension, and anxieties, sleepless nights? I think probably yes, depending on who you are. Will it also signal something that I think is really important? They went public, and then they went public again. Going public financially is really basically easy compared to going public in terms of you're free. Target. You're free for accusations. You're free for challenges. It's a little bit like running for President of the United States. The things that people throw at you, the rumors that get thrown out, the words that are used, particularly if you get right wing and left wing, it's amazing. And I think they're getting into that in a way that they're just totally unused to, and they're going to have to learn how to play that game as well. So it's play the public relations game in public communication. Play the press game in terms of how you relate to Congress and various parts of the administration. Very complicated. Play the business game of how do you relate to all those complicated markets they're in all around the world. It's going to be one terrifically demanding job. I couldn't do it, and I think they've got the talent to be able to do it, but we'll see.
Absolutely. And I'm not advocating, of course, any of these criticisms, but I do want to walk through them. The accusation that it's Goldman Sachs. Do you think it's possible that Goldman had any undue influence from the Treasury in regards to this economic crisis? It seems everywhere you look, there was a Goldman exec in charge of overseeing the rescue.
Yeah, I have known some of those guys for a long time, and I know how they are and what they do. They're very, very conscientiously competitive in whatever they're striving to do. Really work for it. Would they do anything that was not driven by patriotism? Absolutely not. I can guarantee you. If anything, Goldman Sachs would have been a slight disadvantage because they would be damn sure no way we're going to favor the firm we came out of.
And in regards to AIG, I mean, obviously that's got a lot of conspiracy theorists brewing.
Oh, wonderful.
Would Goldman have failed if AIG had failed?
No, I don't. Not a chance. They had themselves in ways that other people find hard to believe because it is complicated, hard to believe because it was so timely, but that's the way they have done a lot of different things for years and years and years. They were protected, and they would not have failed. But that's not really the question. The real question is the one you're asking before, which is, are they going to be accountable on a different set of standards than they ever were before? And it's Caesar's wife all over again. It isn't fair, and it's going to be rough for a long, long time. Will they be able to rise to it? I am quite sure they will, but it will take some learning.
I want to bring in some of the news of the day. A Goldman official testified in Washington that curbing speculators on commodities would disrupt the markets. Do you think greater regulation would have a big effect on a firm like Goldman?
It depends what kind of regulation. If it's regulation that sets good rules that allow lots of creativity inside the system and buffers to protect the economy and the society and individuals and institutions from too much roughness, then I think they will do very, very well. If it's unfortunately regulatory control over how people are supposed to do things beyond open creativity, then I think there could be some real constraints.
But a lot of the firms right now, including Goldman, are being accused of still making a lot of risky bets. Do you think they've learned anything from the financial crisis?
Well, let's go back. If you go back to February, March, and you look in retrospect, 2020 hindsight, would you think that that was a great time to get out there with a lot of high-risk bets? Of course you would. And I believe the reality is that what they did is say, this is a chance for us to make a very substantial contribution. Yes, but that's not the driving force. It was to make a substantial success out of trading in these markets. They got some very smart people. They got a huge amount of factual information. They're terrific at moving that information around. I think what they did is now's the time for us to really go for it.
All right. Charles Ellis, thanks for sustaining the questioning. The book is called The Partnership, The Making of Goldman Sachs.
You should know that we'll be out in the fall as in paperback with an edition.
Excellent. Very detailed, very extensive, well-researched book.